Hello everyone, Lights and Gear is back with another flashlight review. And if you remember in a recent video, I was discussing one of the new FiTorch flashlights, which over time, of course, if you're watching this video a year from now, will no longer be new. But I was, one of those last videos, it was the first time that I had reviewed a FiTorch flashlight, and I said there were more coming. Well, here I have another one. And this time it's the ER16. And again, this is from FiTorch, and it is a very compact flashlight, only a little over 3 inches long, with 1,000 lumens of total output. And as you can see from the box, it has a CREE XP-L2 LED, and some other information here, of course, as is customary on most of these boxes. It does tell you about the output, it tells you about the runtime, it gives you the peak beam distance of 150 meters, and also your candle power here. It is 2 meters, impact resistant, and IPX8 waterproof, meaning it can be submersed. And on the back here, a little bit of information does give you all the outputs here, of which are 3, 100, 340, and 1,000. This model has an SOS. I don't mean SOS. I mean strobe. So it does have strobe, and that is the only emergency flashing mode on the light. So, package is quite small. Let's get to the instruction manual, and here it is. And it does give you, of course, all the pertinent information, all the features of the flashlight, of course, with the waterproof O-ring and the sealing gasket. It is micro USB rechargeable. Did I mention that before? I don't think so. Yes, it is USB rechargeable and does come with a micro USB cable, so we'll show you that in a second. It also has a magnetic tail cap, and it has mode memory and operates via a side switch. So there's all your other information, which we kind of discussed a few moments ago with the LED and so forth. It runs on one battery, either a 16340 or an 18350, and you can also feed it a standard disposable battery, CR123, but probably wouldn't recommend that. And you know, so that's pretty much everything you need to know as far as the instruction manual is concerned. So elsewhere in the package, they have a little tiny holster here, which is kind of cute. And inside the holster, you have a spare O-ring. And also in the holster is a lanyard, pretty standard lanyard. And here is the flashlight. And here is the USB cable. So, flashlight, as you can see, very small. And it is quite attractive looking. It has a nice look to it. I think it has a nice feel to it for the most part. Here's your great big enormous button, and that's pretty easy to find in the dark. The pocket clip is very sturdy, very sturdy, and it's also deep pocket. As you can see, it goes all the way down here, so when it's in your pocket, you have pretty much nothing that remains outside of the pocket. It goes pretty much flush, and we like to see that on flashlights. It's nice that they're doing that. And it has, flashlights of this size don't really need any aggressive knurling or anything, because holding it is just to hold the whole thing in your hand. Tail cap is magnetic, as we discussed before. I'll prove that to you. There you go. You can stick anything on the bottom if you want. Not that you'd stick a nail clipper on the bottom, but it's magnetic, so it'll adhere, and it's a good strong, it's a very strong magnet too. So, FiTorch you have here on the side. On the other side is ER16, and here is your USB cable, of course, or port, USB port, where the cable goes into right there. So, as you open it up, oh, by the way, here's the LED, and it is a smooth reflector. And to undo the tail cap is to undo the clip as well. I mean, obviously the clip stays on here, but it's small, so everything comes off at once. That's not my favorite part of it, because you gotta fight with the clip a bit to get it back on, but oh well. Here's inside the head, and inside the tail cap you have a spring up in there. Now the package, or the manual, does kind of recommend you use a 16340 battery. I don't mean I mean a 16340 battery. It does kind of recommend that. But the thing about 16340s, at least in this particular tube, is they're a little bit big. And it does go in there fine, but has a little bit more leeway than you perhaps would normally have. See how it kind of moves around in there? So that's your average 16340, the way that goes in. But if you take an 18350, and this happens to be a protected 18350, you can also use an IMR unprotected 18350 like this one. These are both from eFest, but you can use either the IMR unprotected or the protected. And as you can see, that goes in perfectly and fills the gap. There is no wriggle room. There is no wiggle room for an 18350. And so anyway, that is what I've been using in it, and it works very well, and I would suggest perhaps you do the same. Do whatever you want, but that's my suggestion. So anyway, fits in there very well. To turn it on, now it has rather an interesting user interface, I suppose, and let me explain a little bit of this to you. First of all, press the button, and at first it won't go on. See, I'm pressing the button and nothing's happening. So this is what perplexed me when I first got the flashlight, is that the only way I could get light out of it is to press it and hold it, and I did that for about 2 seconds and then released it, and I got instant light. And this happens to be the low mode, which it's in right now. And if I keep pressing it, of course, it goes in the cycle is in the opposite direction, so the cycle goes from highest to lowest. But in that particular instance, it started in low, and then when I clicked it, it went all the way to turbo. So let me turn off the light here briefly so I can show you turbo mode. Oh, okay, that light is out. This was so bright I thought I had another light on. So anyway, here's turbo mode, and as you can see, it's bright. And it has a rather nice beam as well. It has very nice spill to it, and the center of the beam is not terribly focused. So it does have some nice elements to it without a lot of artifacts or anything. And as you can see, it's pretty bright. Now if I press it from here, I'll go down to high mode, and then another press will be in medium mode, and then I'll be down in low mode. So here we are in low again. Now the thing that I have to explain about the way the light is right now, technically it is in lockout mode. The flashlight does have a lockout mode where it will not turn on in any, it will not turn on accidentally, with accidental activation. So when you first put a battery in, strangely enough, at least on this light that I have, and I don't, if any other lights that anybody receives are different than this, I apologize. But for this light that I have received, when the battery first goes in, it is in lockout mode. And it took me a couple of days to figure that out, to be honest, because I was wondering where the mode memory was. Because when it is like this, there's no mode memory. I can press and hold right here and turn it off, but then to turn it on again, pressing the button will not work. At least not quickly. I have to press and hold like I did at the beginning, and then it will come on again in low mode. So in this instance, there is no mode memory, but the light does have mode memory, but it has to be in the unlocked position. Right now it's in the locked position. So what I will do is I'll turn on another light here. I'll turn the light off, and then I will unlock it. So to unlock it, I press and hold the button and then wait. It'll come on in low, and then it will go off again. So now it is unlocked. Now when I press the button, it goes on, without having to press and hold it, and it goes on in the last mode it was in. So now mode memory is activated. Alright, so if you want to replay the video back and try to make sense out of that, or if you want to go to my written review at lightsandgear.com and read about it, you're certainly welcome to do that. So right now I can press and hold and turn off, and I can give it one quick press, turn on, and it'll be in the last mode it was in. It will not do that if it's in lockout mode. Now I can put it back in lockout mode just to show you that. So to go into lockout mode, when it's unlocked, of course, I press and hold, and then it'll blink just like that in red. Blink in red, and then take your finger off the button, and then it'll be locked and it will not come on unless I press and hold for about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds. Now it's back in low mode, and it's going to do exactly what it was doing before I unlocked it. So anyway, that is the one weird part about the flashlight, and now you know how to unlock it and lock it. Now with the USB, actually let me go to this part first. I want to show you the battery voltage counter, which is pretty cool. But before I do that, let me just mention how you get the strobe, and that's at any time, whether the light is on or off. All you do is double click and you get instant strobe, and then one press again we'll go back to, I don't know, we'll go back to whatever, go back to the mode it was in before, or if it was off it'll go to low. So I can turn it back on again, double click, go to strobe, then give it one press again, and it'll return to mode. It'll return to the last regular mode it was in. So that's how you get the strobe, is to double click. If I want to check the battery voltage indicator, I triple click and it'll blink. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's telling me the voltage of this battery is 3.7. I'll do that again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the battery, I may have lost count. The battery is either 3.7 or 3.8. But anyway, that's how you see the voltage on the battery. Now, when you're using the flashlight, if the battery gets low and the battery voltage gets down to like 3.4, it'll start flashing slowly in red beneath the button, and then if you leave it, the flashing will increase in speed, so it'll start flashing fast in red. So that's all about the voltage of the battery, whether you're just checking it at any time to see how much power is left, or whether you're using it and the battery starts getting low. And when you use the USB, obviously that plugs right into the back. When you do put that in, this isn't connected to anything at the moment, but as soon as you put it in and the battery is already in there, this will start flashing in green. So, just fell. So you'll get the light beneath the switch flashing green as the charge begins, and then when the charge comes to the end and it's finished, it'll go solid green, flashing green to a solid green. And that's how you charge the battery internally. And one thing I will mention regarding the USB is that their connection in here seems to be recessed quite far, perhaps a little farther than your average USB connector. And if you actually look at the one that they give you in the package, if you look at it very closely, you'll see that it's actually a little bit longer than your standard USB cable. Here's another USB I have right here, and if you look at the end of a standard one, and I think mine here is pretty standard, and then if you put the one next to it which they give you, you will see that the end is a tad longer. See that? So see how long the one is they give you, which is on the right? So probably using theirs is a good idea, although it will work, and I was able to charge it using a standard cable, but if you tweak it or whatever while it's in there, it may fall out. It'll still work, but the connection just isn't quite as tight and secure as it is with their own cable. So just be aware of that. Wasn't sure at first if I did like the FiTorch ER16, and that was before I figured out the lock and unlock part of it. But once I figured that out, I did like it more than I thought I did, and it did surprise me as being a nice little light, very, very bright, and easy to use, and the switch is easy to find in the dark. And I like the little, illuminating features under that and so forth, and the magnetic tail. So it's a nice flashlight. And it was supplied to me by Banggood. If you want to take a look at it on their site, you can click the link that's in the description below. And you can also see the same link within my written review at lightsandgear.com, where you'll see the outdoor beam shots of the flashlight. So if you're yelling at the computer or your tablet or your phone or whatever and saying, why doesn't he show outdoor beam shots of it? Go look at my website. Go take a look at my written review at lightsandgear.com. Only takes a minute and you will see the beam shot pictures there taken outside. And you'll see what the ER16 can do in those circumstances. So please do that. But anyway, FiTorch ER16, I think it's pretty good. Hope you'll like it. Any questions or comments, let me know in the video. Do hop over to Lights and Gear and take a look at what else I've got. And we'll see you next time for more at lightsandgear.com. I do thank you for watching. Take it easy.